we've been talking about where do we go forward with this? And
Yeah.
that's when we say, queer talk is still going to exist, but it's going to be focused on actual queer talk.
Yeah.
With Justin and I talking, as well as, having other people on and talking about queer issues and queer events and whatever,
Yeah.
you know. And but we're also going to do, on the Queer Network, we're going to do just where Justin and I just have just a chat,
Yeah.
about our lives and about things that, you know, um, maybe people can relate to.
Because the Queer Network has many shows and we're one of them. I'm thinking maybe this is a time to adjust. That doesn't mean we can't just film the first Queer Talk as a welcome back. Welcome back to Queer Talk, y'all. Welcome back to the Queer Network. How was your summer? How are you? It's good to see you.
It's great to be back. What's been going on?
I had a really lovely summer, and the fall has been gorgeous too. I got to see Beyonce in concert. I flew to Vancouver to do that. It changed my life, and I fell in love a little bit with Vancouver too. I wasn't fully expecting that, um, but yeah, it's great. How about you? How was your summer?
The one big thing I did was I went to Hungary and to Spain, and I've
Nice.
I've been wanting to go to Spain for like 10 years, and I finally went. I went to Hungary. I went to my 96-year-old mother's hometown, where
Wow.
she was born, and she lived for, I think, about 15 or 16 years. So I actually went to see the house that she grew up in. I went to see her school, her church. It was quite amazing. And then
Yeah.
I went to Spain, spent almost 3 weeks there. It was interesting, that I just want to say this one thing, that the thing that surprised me the most and was probably the most disappointing to me was that, I'm used to North America and to Canada and the US and Mexico and the people. The people in Europe were not friendly.
Mm,
They were not unfriendly, but
right.
people, you walk by people, no one said hello, no one like would, acknowledge you. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to, like, I love talking to people, and yeah, and it didn't happen.
It's interesting. Like, this is why people really do see Canada and even Mexico. I think Canada, Mexico are closer. America, it depends where you are in America, where people are friendly or not as like friendly. I mean, I think New York has a bad rap a little bit about that, but I think that's because it is a little influenced by a European standard of like it's not like people don't care, but it's a different level of like interest in people around you. Like when I was in Mexico, like everybody says hi, just like
Yeah.
buenos dias. Doesn't matter if you know them, it's just a hello, welcome. And I think Canadians have a big reputation of being really just nice, kind people. But it sounds like you experienced like just culturally how different it is to be in Europe, like on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Just it is different.
We
So,
both accomplished, yeah, some great things this
yeah,
summer.
I feel like we both had the summers and fall that we both wanted to. Like even when we took the break, it was like part of the break for me was about just like no like commitments to less things, so I have more time and space to just explore other creative things that I want to do. And I'm not saying I like came to the end of that road, but the freedom and the space to just explore is part of what I enjoy about my life right now, being less interested in like, oh, this is the path I'm taking. I'm like paying attention to my motivation, like what motivates me to go towards something or not go towards something. Because at this point in my life, who am I doing it for? Why am I doing it? What does it matter? I'm not motivated by the success of being really good at something anymore to impress someone so that nobody knows I'm gay. That was an old tactic, and we're not going to go into that. But like as an example, so it was. I think we both, yeah, had a beautiful last couple months of just like doing our own thing at whatever pace we wanted to do it.
Well, and as I've always said in these episodes, like, you know, there's like there's a lesson There's a lesson that we always come to, and I think the big one here, we did things, how do I say this?
Kind of that we've always wanted to do.
Yeah, but we were and to be ourselves,
Yes.
and to not be like concerned or care about what someone's going to say or what someone's going to think or whatever. I mean, you were truly living the way you wanted to live without
Yes.
who cares what people think or say.
And we talk about this all the time. If you watch back all the Queer Talk episodes, there's massive through lines of like just actually doing the things you really want to do without caring what somebody's going to think. And what I loved is that this summer and fall, we both put into practice a lot of the things that we were talking about as ideas, as ways of being, as ways of doing things.
But when I think back, when I was saying about how people are not friendly, I don't know if I would include, I don't know if I would include queer people or gay people in that.
Yeah.
I think that's different,
Yeah.
because there was an example where I did put myself out there and I was somewhere and people did start talking to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That just, but I want to get back to your point where we did do the things that we wanted to do without caring about what people are going to think, and challenging ourselves. I mean, I think there were things that you probably did that, really challenged yourself. And
Yes.
I saw some of your, especially the video that you did when you read the Beyonce thing, and
You ready? You ready?
that was Justin, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I did whatever I wanted to do, and that was the outcome of it. And I think that's what we both got to experience a lot of in the last couple months. But we
So
are back.
we are back, and where do we? Before we came on, Justin and I had a little discussion, and where do we go from here with Queer Talk and whatever else?
So we love Queer Talk. We always will. It is definitely a part of how we kept the queer network going in a way that felt really good for us, because we still got to have our conversations. We also got to bring people in, and there's this last season had a ton of wonderful guests that we got to have conversations with about queer subjects and topics and discussions. And we want to keep that going. At the same time, we also feel like this is an opportunity to create another branch that is just an extension of what we've always been doing already, which is having conversations, you and I, about life, the world, politics, entertainment, just what we're going through as queer people. And we want to make that our own show. And we want to keep Queer Talk as a separate branch that is just for queer related discussions. When we have guests on that want to talk about something that they're involved in, it might be you, it might be me, it might be both, it might be just the two of us, it might be five of us. It depends on what the topic is. But then we keep our own podcast, yet to be named, just Justin and Eddie is the working title.
The one thing you didn't say in that is that when we talk, it's also like coming from a younger and an older perspective,
Yep.
But it's interesting because there are times where you and I talk and there's like, to me, there's no difference in our age.
But that's the beauty of, I think, what we showcase in our friendship, and we're willing to share that on a platform, is that, there are always going to be ways that it's like, oh, obviously, I am from a different generation than you, because I know very little about X conversation, but then it is totally reversed in that, like, you are like, wait, what's that? What's going on? How do you explain that? But then there are so many times in the same conversation that we feel and think exactly the same way about something, regardless of our age. And I think that for me, that's personally why I love having these conversations with you, because the intergenerationalization, that is not a word, but it is now.
Yeah.
The intergenerational dynamic between the two of us, I think, is an essential part of like healthy queer relationships and culture. Like we need that connection to all the sides of our queer history and people.
But yeah, I think most of the things that we talk about are not necessarily queer related. And this is what I have always liked about it. And it's the same thing. And the point I want to make about the difference in our ages, when it comes to life stuff and the lessons in life and what we go through, it doesn't matter how old you are.
No.
No matter how old or how young. I mean, people are going to therapy at 20, people are going to therapy at 80. It's quite fascinating that at the end of the day, it's the same stuff. It's the same, like how are we treated by people? How do we relate to people? Like, how do we deal with fear? How do we deal with all these different, emotions? It doesn't matter, you know? So that's what I love about it, is that when, again, I've said this many times, like I like to think, and my goal is that we are relatable to whoever.
Totally. It isn't about being queer, but what we do represent is queer representation in the media landscape. And I've noticed that's getting better and better, but it still needs to be better. Like we still need more. So whether we're talking about queer things or not, we just represent our community by existing in the media landscape. It's just the same thing as on any media outlet, any news network. They're trying to be more diverse. They're trying to not just have white broadcasters. They're trying to have all different types of people. And we are a part of that in a small way, even just by posting these things on the Queer Network, I think.
We're queer, but we're both very different kind of queer. Like you are way more queer than I am,
In
in
terms of expression.
in the expression.
Yes.
But this is the point I want to make. You can be queer like Justin and get dressed up and make your skirt and sashay down the street at in Vancouver.
Yes.
Which a lot of people were like, oh my God, I want to be like that, or that's how I really am. Or you could be queer like me, who doesn't really demonstrate it.
In
And
those ways.
in what?
In those ways.
In those ways. Yeah. I don't even, to me,
Which
it's
I love, because that is why people think they have a misconception about being queer, because they think everybody that's queer is my version of queer. That's
exactly
what the world thinks. It's not. Your
yeah.
version of queer is not just there, it's also valid and beautiful in its own way, and isn't better or worse. It's part of the spectrum of what it means to be true to yourself.
That's exactly it. And you can be like, being queer doesn't define me. And I don't need to go out there and shout it from the rooftops that I'm queer. I'm just Eddie. I'm just who I am. And I happen to like guys,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I don't have to go out there and do that. You have a different, you can be
I like a chameleon. I'm like a
yes,
chameleon.
you're like a chameleon.
Yeah.
You're like a chameleon. And it's wonderful. And I,
I even shock myself sometimes. Like even when I look back on like the Beyonce concert, and like I just like followed all those instincts and wasn't really like looking at what it was looking like. And then as I like yesterday or the day before I like watched that video again, I was like, wow, that is what I looked like. I was not, which was part of the joy for me actually, was not being so concerned what I look like from outside, because I have lived so much of my life in my own head, but also when I'm in my head, I'm considering what I look like from someone else's perspective, which I think has stunted my creativity and my artistry at times. So,
I'm a little more conservative. You're not.
yeah.
And so, and there's everything in between. And that's the beauty of it. You can be
Yeah.
whoever and whatever you want to be. Again,
Yeah.
we said this in the past episodes, depending on where you live.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that is a little bit of where we want to take the Queer Network. And we're always looking for new content. We're always looking for other short films and documentaries. We always know there's much more potential than just what we do on the network. But this is what we feel is like a really great next step for us, and you're going to start to see more of it pretty soon.
Yep. And we're always open to change and to adjusting, but we're doing what we want to do. And that's the message out there, is to
Yeah,
do what you want to do.
exactly.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned, y'all. Happy day. Oh, happy day.
Happy Halloween.
Oh my God, yeah, happy Halloween. This is gonna go out for Halloween. So happy Halloween. I hope you have your costumes picked out. I don't know what I'm gonna be at all. But I work at a bar and we'll be in some sort of Halloween costume from Thursday all the way till Tuesday. So thank you all so much for watching, and for I hope you all had a great summer too and fall.
And sending everyone lots of love. And
Yes.
you
We
know,
didn't get into it today, but the world is a crazy place right now. It always is, particularly right now. It feels like a lot of things are crumbling. So just be kind to one another. It takes nothing to be kind to one another. I know feels maybe a little simple, but yeah.
as Julie Chen says on Big Brother at the end of every episode, yes, I'm a reality show guy. She says, love one another.
Yes.
And that's what it's about.
Starts with yourself. So
True.
yes.
True. Okay.
All right, bye, my friend.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you too. Peace
Keep it
out.
queer.
Oh my God, we have to keep that. Yes.
Yes. We still will be keeping it queer.
Keep it queer, y'all.
Yeah.
With love.
With love.
Bye.
Bye.